Welcome back to the draft of Game 2 for Tactical Retreat versus Omega Gaming Alpha. We've swapped sides this time, so Tactical Retreat is going to have the first pick of the round. But based on last game, what are you looking to see banned away, perhaps?
I want to see Tactical Retreat maybe focus a little bit more on the Olaf pick right there because they didn't really. Oh, I actually, do you know what? I'm going to take that back. I want them to focus on the bot lane pick a little bit more because the Aphelios was what ran them over in that game, and I honestly think that. As troll as this is going to sound, Gamzee actually had a hold on the Olaf with the Yorick jungle. You know, we saw they had 1-1 versus 1 around level 6, where it actually looked like Gamzee could go toe to toe with the Olaf, and if they can continue to do that, then I'm more than happy for them to continue to pick it. And there we go, Aphelios banned away. I'm happy with that.
Hmm.
That's what I wanted to see.
I wonder if Omega Gaming actually just take the Olaf again anyway, because you're right that I felt like the Yorick actually was a pretty good pick into him, but it was really the Lulu plus Olaf that ended up being the Yorick's downfall.
Yeah, so the combination with the Lulu with any champion is kind of disgusting, but then when you've got Olaf who can immune CC himself and then just get sped up by the Lulu, get enhanced health by the Lulu, get enhanced auto attacks by the Lulu, you see the trend that I'm going down here. Lulu was definitely a problem for Tactical Retreat here, and their first pick is going to be an Urgot.
It does not look like they want to back off the top lane win condition. They are solidly in the camp of their top laner winning lane.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Um, we've lost ProDraft somehow. The tab has just disappeared. There we go. Never
Let's
mind.
see.
We're back. We're back. But yeah, you're 100% correct, right? You know, we've seen Urgot, this guy in the top. He likes playing this, right? We've got. I'm gonna credit my caster here. Deotrope has done some wonderful behind the scenes work at trying to get a load of champion pools together and theory at craft the comps that we'd go for. And number one on the top laners pick right here was Urgot. So Grexix
It's
here
just
is going to be happy to play this.
Yeah, it's going to be a champion that he feels really comfortable on, and having the Twisted Fate is going to enable them quite a bit. But I'm really excited. Omega Gaming seem like they're also recognizing that their bot lane ended up being the problem that Tactical couldn't address, and looking to exacerbate that earlier in the game with the Blitzcrank Callista.
Yeah, the young ballista combo. We're going back to 2017. CLG, double lift and Afro move, pulling this one out. I can't wait for this. You know, if they get the combination pulled off, the combo I'm talking about, of course, being rocket grab into Fate's Call, means that when the Blitzcrank throws the hook, the Callista and the Callista synergizes that with the Fate's Call. The champion that is hooked gets pulled all the way into Callista instead of just the Blitzcrank himself. But the Alistair
Mhm.
pickup is actually something that's quite a decent answer to a bot lane Blitzcrank.
Yeah, Alistair will is an interesting pick here. I like just because you don't want to hook him, and I think that that's kind of giving almost a support counter pick ahead of time so that they can feel comfortable picking the AD carry. It is going to be kind of hard to win lane straight up with the Alistair though, especially given the roaming options that Blitzcrank has.
Yeah, you know, with Blitzcrank, he doesn't have to. He's not confined to that bot lane role. He's really adept at moving himself around the lanes and helping out anywhere that he can. You know, another little synergy point with Alistair is that he doesn't have to necessarily tank the hook from the Blitzcrank. It's more of a he can also support his AD carry.
Mm.
So should the AD carry get hooked, he's able to dash in on the Callista and disengage it as well and support his ADC in that particular case.
Mm. And actually, seeing these three picks, I feel like an identity is already forming for these compositions. Do you think that either of them has the better team fight so far? What are their win conditions that we're seeing? We see the Wukong picked up for Omega, and that might be more of a team comp or a team fight direction. But what are we seeing so far?
So yeah, when we look at, we'll talk about the alpha side first because they've drafted Lee Sin, Callista, Blitzcrank, which are three really strong early game champions. Obviously, Blitzcrank has his uses much later on into the game as well, but typically we see with these three champs that I mentioned, loss of early game strength. Omega Gaming Alpha looking to take the game to tactical retreat much earlier than they did last time, and if they don't end up with a soul this game, then I'm gonna be a little bit disappointed in the Alpha squad here. But with tactical retreat to move on to these guys, we do actually see a unique pick coming out, meaning their bot laner is going to be something a little bit different here.
Oh, fascinating. We might get to see the hybrid twisted fate here.
Yeah, so there's always been a smattering of Twisted Fate players that break the stereotypes, break the norm, and go to an on-hit style of build, maybe an AD style of build. It dates way back to the Unicorns of Love days in Europe, in IEM as well, where they challenged TSM with a Twisted Fate jungle, Kiki building Wits and Banshee's Veil when Banshee's Veil gave magic resist and health. So there's always this chance that Azir goes into the bot lane as well as a bot lane carry, but would expect actually to see, as you mentioned, an AD style Twisted Fate in the bot side, and Alpha are going to round out their comp with a Karma in, I presume, the mid lane here.
Hmm. Karma should be a nice neutralizing pick into the Twisted Fate, hopefully being able to push him in with the AoE Qs. Twisted Fate has some decent wave clear, but I think it's just more of an enabling pick for the Callista.
Yeah, we look at the comp from Alpha again, and they have just purely drafted to pretty much, as you say, enable this Callista. They've got a Wukong that's going to dive into the backline and cause some disruption for the Azir and Twisted Fate, but the other two picks are just mainly trying to get the Callista to either blow somebody up with the use of the Blitzcrank or to keep her safe from with the use of the Karma. So just as we get into the client draft here, which team, Diatropa, do you feel has got the advantage going in to this game number two?
I'm gonna go spicy here instantly, and I'm gonna go for tactical retreat. Only because Omega has perhaps more of a synergistic comp. I do favor the scaling of tactical retreat in the long run if Omega can't close it out. And so I like the draft of them, even if it has zero synergy at all. I feel like Omega has drafted themselves zero late game insurance, which I don't particularly like, even though tactical doesn't necessarily have an identity.
I like it. So what we're saying here is essentially that if Alpha aren't able to push their advantages early on, we're
Hmm.
expecting tactical retreat to just sit back, wave clear, and scale their way into the late game and win from there, just with better champions in the late game, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting, because putting yourself on a timer as much as they have on Omega just doesn't sit quite right with me.
Yeah, that's for sure something that I can understand. And with if game one hadn't gone as quite one sidedly as it did, I might have been inclined to support you in that. I'm gonna diversify. We're gonna have some caster duels on this in this particular one, and I'm gonna say that Alpha are by far and away in this particular game gonna be able to win. They had the stronger drafting game number one to take a late game team situation, which is how I guess how you feel tactical retreat win this one, right? But I
Hmm.
think that Alpha with the pound for pound better players are going to be able to stomp over the tactical retreat early game. Just my opinion. No,
Hmm.
no ill intentions to anybody by any means. But that's
Yeah,
just how I see it going.
I love watching everyone play. And no matter what direction this may go in. I'm also curious to see where the Rek'Sai positions herself, because Rek'Sai into Lee Sin is going to be a lot of counter ganking potential and does have the advantage in the duels. And so if they are able to play around sort of a more jungle centric style than they were last game, where they let the Yorick just walk around, we may end up seeing that Rek'Sai can actually hold off so that tactical only have to manage themselves in the mid game and aren't under as much threat in early as they otherwise could be with the Lee Sin.
Yeah, and I'm super happy that you bring up the Rex side because as much as we can say tactical retreat have really great late game scaling, their one avenue to win the early game is going to be through Gamzee on this Rek'Sai. And you talked about the little bit about the jungle matchup and the way that is favoured toward Rek'Sai is basically because as long as you are burrowed, so long as Lee Sin tries to take that second Q, the resonating strike, onto you, as long as you are A clicking, so having your auto attack move key bound to anything, the second part, the damage doesn't go through as you will knock him up out of flying, meaning the largest part of Lee Sin's trade pattern is, for the most part, neutralized. So Rek'Sai as well, also able to be fairly creative with her gank pathing, having similar situations to Zac and Fiddlesticks where she can easily burrow over walls, jump over the walls, and might be able to find a couple of unique picks in the mid lane or even the bot lane. You know, with Kalista being on this red side here, does create a world where Gamzee can burrow from the bush in the river all the way to near the turret if he's got that burrow on lock. But we'll have to wait and see though.
Yeah, we'll hop into that game right after a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to game 2 of Omega Gaming Alpha versus Tactical Retreat of what could be perhaps a very short series if Omega get to play to their win conditions here. Looking at these compositions, I know that we talked about it a little bit in draft, but with what could be a very skirmish heavy top side and a very skirmish heavy bot side, where do you think these junglers might choose to invest their attention?
I think looking at it, if Omega Gaming Alpha aren't looking to focus this bot side of the map, then they're slightly trolling a little bit because they've got Blitzcrank Callista, and if Callista falls behind, then it's really difficult for her to really do anything at all in a game. And obviously, if she's able to succeed, she can take over games and run rampant in a team fight. But she'll probably have to index into a QSS fairly early on, just because she's facing, excuse me, in lane a Twisted Fate. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not that, the build path is able to facilitate a QSS, because obviously with Callista you do want to get that Blade of the Ruin King, get the Berserker Greaves in as early as possible, and spending 1300 gold on that QSS tax could be quite crucial if she's unable to get the income to do so effectively.
Yeah, actually, like having her not ahead could just cripple her build path and allow Twisted Fate to have a stronger mid game. We saw the 5-man fan out isn't going to reward vision for either side, and so nobody knows where the junglers are starting just yet. Though the leash on the bot side should be revealed very soon when we see Twisted Fate and Ali enter the lane.
Yeah, so that information is going to be relayed to Riddles via the voice chat, and Graxix with a nice little trade up on this top side early and a hook down bot. Neither of which going to amount to too much of anything. Kiwi Slap blue carding rapid fire there is the most, or is the highest damage card that you can throw if you're going to throw any just for the sheer poke. So good to see him throwing out those blue cards willy-nilly, because obviously he does get the mana back for them. 100% effective returns when he throws out those blue cards just on their own. And a nice, interesting pathing coming out from Riddles right here. He's gone red straight to his blue buff, straight to his Gromp. So looking to get a fast level 3 and maybe looking to find a gank. Notice that Michael has pushed up a little bit in this mid lane versus Prides, and Oxy and Rapid Fire have done their best to try and keep the wave in a neutral spot to facilitate a potential gank, but these junglers are going to meet right now.
Yeah, looks like Riddles does have the Q, but there's the interaction you were talking about. Doesn't take the second part until Gamzee already burns his knockup, though, and so now he's just trying to get away. He's going to flash over the wall and secure first blood for himself, and a little bit of a micro misplay there ends up costing Gamzee his life.
Yeah, Riddles noticing he's definitely the stronger champion, despite the fact that he has been countered if Gamzee is going to misstep like that and use the Unborrow whilst Lee Sin isn't channeling the second part of the Q. He's going to be able to easily jump in on top of Gamzee and picks himself up a fresh red buff, which on a Lee Sin, something that he's going to be very happy with. Going to be happy to take a refreshed timer on that. Maybe look to make that second red buff work, and pings in on this mid lane right now.
We might see a fight happen around there, and I'm excited to see it, but won't actually end up taking the second part of the Q as Azir well retreats behind the turret. But this is actually, this has worried me in what we were talking about before the game, where Rek'Sai is really the bridge for Tactical Retreat to make it into the late game, where they do have the potential to overwhelm Omega with the tankiness from the Urgot and the damage from the Azir. And if they don't have the Rek'Sai to bridge that kind of mid-game gap, and she is falling prey to the Lee Sin, I'm not sure exactly what they're planning to do, except for just pray that Omega make a mistake. And last game we saw that mistakes are not something they're super prone to.
Yeah, something that they're not particularly averse to. Granted, last game their comp rewarded the fact that they didn't really have to do anything. They could just sort of sit back and farm. This time we mentioned it, that they really do have the burden of execution on them to get themselves ahead, to get themselves the lead in the early game, and so far it's gone pretty well. Riddles got himself the early first blood, did double crab, but Gamzee on this top side was going for a pick. The Burrow, unfortunately, not able to get all the way over the wall, and Candyman just able to walk himself away. And even in this mid lane, Trade's going the way of the Karma, actually, so Pride's getting himself a CS lead. Oh, but fight bot.
Ooh, a hook lands onto the TF there and might actually force the flash away from it. It's going to gold card the Alistair, who is now caught in the middle of the Blitzcrank. Callista might be able to be chased down here, but just the rend isn't going to be quite enough, and we should see both sides backing off. I actually wanted to mention up there the gank that we saw on the Rex side didn't do much. It did deny the cannon minion from the Wukong, and having him down be almost to half CS on the Urgot already, that could be more important than we initially gave it credit for.
Oh yeah, very big pickup. Nice one to spot right there, because it is a Graxix is really actually running away with this top lane matchup right now. He's got a wave crashing into him as well. So if he's just able to keep that wave frozen, he's going to have complete control over this top lane, and might actually be able to make Candyman kind of feel the pain a little bit earlier on. And Gamzee is actually on this Drake right now with Oxy and Rapidfire having based. This feels like this could be a nice Drake pickup here for the guys over on Tactical Retreat.
Yeah, and yeah, if they are able to secure those early Drakes, again, this is exactly what we're talking about, and it's going to be which team kind of allows themselves to be scaled on. As Graxix does take a tower shot as he goes in for a trade, but meantime, we have a fight in the bottom side as Alistar's trying to lock somebody up, but will end up being hooked by the Blitzcrank. Now chasing down the TF is going to force the heal out of him, and that should be a 1-for-0, except for also the Drake. Ooh, Riddle's now maybe looking for the Rek'Sai. Tunnel isn't up just yet, and so it's just kind of having to hang around here, going to be knocked up by the Blitzcrank and cleaned up by the Karma.
Yeah, nice little collapse from Alpha. They do lose the Infernal Drake, but they do pick up 2 kills for themselves. This Blitzcrank already paying dividends, picking up the kill onto Demon, and also there with the nice little knock-up, picks up a kill onto Graxic as well. With that, they are going to have a little bit of control over this bot lane and maybe have a quick dive timer if they go now.
And yeah, importantly, even if they don't end up diving here, as it doesn't look like they will, I think the kills on this team comp are super valuable right now. Having, like you were talking about, the Callista being able to snowball over people, even if she didn't pick up any of the kills herself, does have the empowered Lee Sin and Karma. So if everybody around the Callista is strong, she may just be able to power through a team fight and pick up several kills almost unexpectedly.
Oh,
Hook on the Alistar as well. Should be able to get out of this one. Does manage to flash away. Now his flash is burned, and they could look for a gank here if Lee Sin does end up walking down with the level 6. But I think that this lane's sitting pretty comfortably right now.
yeah, Gamzee is around on this bot side, so there's a world where he is able to get a gank, but a nice ward has spotted out that he's going to be coming in, and immediately they just back away. The overdrive is popped, and they just walk their way back to the tier 1 turret, looking like they're going to go for a recall here, which is not what I'd advise here, because they've still got. They're going to lose the push here and probably lose some XP if they go for this, but looks like Oxy goes back. He's going to pick himself up the mobility boots to get himself around the map more, and that Mantra Q in the mid lane prides is, with the lost chapter now, early Karma damage is making Michael feel the pain right there, and Riddles,
Yeah.
With Gamzee Gamzee showing on the bot side, Riddles and Co on this top side decide that the Rift Herald is for free. They take it, Candyman sacrifices away top side, all for the greater good of his team, something that we like to see. Help your jungle out, and your jungle will help you out, no end, and that's the philosophy that I'll share with everybody right now.
And actually, I was curious what you were thinking about. Speaking of the team play that you saw from the Wukong, about leaving the Callista in this bot side, since she hasn't been able to pick up too many kills so far. Would you rather have seen her grouped with the team as they tried to pick up that Rift Herald in case there was a fight, or was it the right call to leave her down there?
Yeah, so we do see quite often in competitive, amateur, any sort of League of Legends that isn't solo queue essentially, where you'll send your bot lane back around the 7.5 minute mark so that they can rotate their way up to the top side in order to secure that Rift Herald, because, getting a Rift Herald and using it before 14 minutes is effectively the same as a kill and a half, because you can get 320 gold from the plates, you get about 100 gold from taking it down, which equates to almost a kill and a half if you send it between the team, but I'll hold it.
He uses his ult on the clone as well, so won't actually be able to proc the second part of that, even though Wukong is almost below threshold. Now Lee Sin is just going to be able to chase Urgot down, does have the red slow, and the Warthog should secure the second part of the Q into the kill onto the Urgot.
Yeah, little overextended there from Graxix, and good play from Riddles to be able to come in and collapse. The full Warrior enchant completed means he's dealing so much damage right now. We're 10 minutes into the game, and that is a big power spike for him, and pushing it further and further, and I'm going to be interested to see. They don't go for the Herald. They do, in fact, do
There
go
we
for the
go.
Herald.
Penalty into the wall there as they're looking to get what looks like it could just be the plates, as a very nice hook into pull from the Callista will get Twisted Fate closer than he expected. Now Karma looking for the dive into the bot side, might be able to do enough damage, but the shield from her is too much, and there are 3 members under the top side tower, and Omega is going to be able to pick up their second kill in the top side while grabbing a nice little treat for themselves in the bot.
Yep, unfortunately the kill goes the way of Oxy. Rapid Fire had all the Ren stacks stacked up, but just didn't end up popping it in the end. The burst from Oxy's Blitzcrank appearing to be too much, and you know that top lane play from Alpha was nice, but it wasn't the 100% effectiveness. When you've got the advantage in these team comps and in your play style, what I'm looking for from Alpha is for them to really like perfect out their play right here, because in that particular situation, as soon as Michael showed up underneath the turret, they'd still got ultimate ready on Riddles, they'd still got the Karma Omen as well. They had a 3v1 opportunity to just quickly dive the Azir, who's super squishy at this point, by the way, has no defensive items. If they were able to get the burst down onto Michael and take the kill, they would have been able to take the entire top turret by getting the Herald onto weaker plates, but I'll hold it for a fight.
Would have netted them significantly more gold. We do see Flash out of Oxy, so he won't be able to look for those hooks for a few more seconds, but it's gotten them positioned on this Drake, and now we're just looking for maybe a miracle steal from Gamzee. Ultimate, or will come in from the Blitzcrank to deny the flash over the wall, and that's a very clean Drake.
Yeah, they rotate 5 members down to this bot side. Graxix still up on the top side, going to be taking away some plates up on this top lane. Takes down a fair few now, only just the 1 remaining, and Urgot with those shotgun knees and the machine gun turret does take turrets pretty quickly, might even be able to take the entire thing here. We'll have to wait and see whether or not Candyman is able to get up in top in time. But yeah, a nice turret, a nice 5-man play from Alpha nets themselves their first Drake of the game, this Ocean Drake going their way, and that's 1 more on their way to the Soul, which I talked about earlier.
And I actually wonder what Soul we'll be seeing here, since I can't see it on the map right now. But if we end up seeing the Mountain Soul, I think that bodes fairly well going into the late game for Omega.
Yeah, it's the Mountain Soul, just judging by the fact that I panned over to find out, but also via the terrain up on the in the minimap, we see around golems a little bit of altered terrain there, indicating the Mountain Soul as well. Maybe a trap from Alpha here, but doesn't like anything's going to come from that.
Looks like they could have looked for it, but didn't have the extended vision there. I'm still getting used to the terrain popping up, especially with the vision plants and blast cone editions for Infernal and Wind Soul now. Or sorry, Infernal and Wind Soul, giving more of those plants in different locations is still something that I'm figuring out going into the new season.
Oh, for sure. Fighting on the top side.
Wukong finally doesn't manage to pop the clone in time, but will end up just grabbing the clone that he tanks the ultimate with. Almost goes down here, but now Riddles is able to take over the fight for him. Might actually be able to 1v1 the Urgot, although it is going to be close. Shotgun Leg's doing a lot of work and will end up taking down the Lee Sin. In the meantime, on bot side, ultimate is going to be burned from the Callista to save her Blitzcrank, and playing a little bit on the back foot now is Omega.
Yeah, you know, this comp from Tactical Retreat, they aren't far behind at all. You know, at this point, only 400 gold and 14 minutes into this game as turret plates fall. I'm quite happy with Tactical Retreat in this game. They've managed to weather the storm that was the Omega Gaming Alpha early game. And with that kill going on to Riddles was 3-0-2 on this Lee Sin, has unfortunately just fallen, given away a big shot, a big bounty to Graxix. And there's definitely an avenue now where Alpha are in a pretty rough spot if they're unable to find something pretty quickly.
Yeah, Graxix has the ability to just tank up a bunch of the damage from Omega if the Callista isn't able to get those Rens onto important targets and get the resets. Might not have the damage to chew through that tanky front line.
No, not at this point, especially without the blade being completed. It's going to be quite difficult for him to get there, and Graxix currently 2 levels above Candyman. Candyman hasn't even finished his Trinity Force yet, and we see Graxix sat with a full... Oh no!
Ooh, very interesting stopwatch there. Will end up almost sacrificing his support. Does flash in for the Ren and burns the the cleanse there. to get out of the, what's it called? The gold card from the TF. Tried to trap them under tower, but now Urgot's shown up, and we might be looking at another fight here. Looks like Omega doesn't want to take it into this Octopus Master, as he'll end up teleporting topside to continue his dominance in the laning phase.
Yeah, he's also going to just ensure that the Rift Herald here does go the way of Gamzee, with Riddles showing bot side, Gamzee feeling free to take that objective for himself, and quite rightly so as well. Definitely was free for him to take, and honestly, the presence that Graxix has provided there has actually just saved Kiwi from getting dove once again. And the stopwatch unfortunately baited Demon, but doesn't actually result in anything other than a kill onto the Alistair. Don't manage to get the turret, which hasn't freed up the Callista at all yet. She's now finished the Blade of the Ruined King, so it's going to be fairly strong with a fully completed item and double daggers as well. Have to see whether she's going to go for a Zeal or a Rude Rage Blade, but look at this fight.
Actually, a little bit out of position there. Is going to be punished by the side of Omega, but it looks like Urgot has shown up and is ready to chew up. The Blitzcrank is going to shut him down, surprisingly. The Blitzcrank being 3-1, just like the Lee Sin, and Urgot really the avenue back into this game.
Yeah, grouping up around Graxix making things work, and a nice Shurima shuffle from Michael caught out Oxy as well, played it nicely to get themselves a free kill. And when you're trading those kills in particular, Gamzee is 0-2-0. Unfortunately, he dies just before the Drake spawns, so in this particular instance, probably a more value kill for Alpha. But that was a lot of gold that went the way, that went to Tactical Retreat. Oxy had a big bounty on his head, or not a big bounty, but he had a bounty on his head as well. And Graxix looking to try and interrupt here.
No ultimate from the Urgot, and not a lot available in general on their side. Means that they shouldn't take the fight here. It looks like Omega's trying to make something happen. Do burn the ultimate from the Wukong. Doesn't have the second knockup up just yet, but importantly, Alistair missing his, and the pullback finally gets a kill onto Rapid Fire despite the Blitzcrank being involved. Chooses to give that one over to his AD carry.
Yeah, nice, and had built up enough stacks just because of the Unbreakable Will as well, meaning that Rapid Fire was essentially just putting spears in a brick wall, and then as soon as the ultimate dropped, able to pop the rend, able to secure himself his first kill of the game. And as I mentioned, going to be interested to see if he tries to turn this into either a Rage Blade or into a Zeal item, likely to be the Runan's Hurricane. You know, when you've got three melee champions here, Rek'Sai, Alistair, and essentially Urgot is a melee champion in these scenarios, it's going to be quite easy for you to get a lot of efficiency out of the Runan's Hurricane. And with the Crit Cloak being picked up, it looks like it's going to be built that way indeed.
And I think it's also interesting. We see a really fascinating turn of events, or turn of map pressure, as the CS lead that Callista has for herself over the TF is actually mirrored in the Urgot's CS lead over the Wukong.
Yep, you're exactly right. And something that we've not really touched on is a CS lead versus a Twisted Fate means significantly less than a CS lead versus anybody else because of the Twisted Fate passive. Getting 2 to 6 gold per last hit that you've got is probably actually doing fairly well in the gold game. If we just toggle it and have a look, he's only 700 behind, and when the one assist compared to the 3 assists and a kill is coming through, you'd expect that to be quite a lot higher. So just being Twisted Fate, actually keeping him quite relatively even in this game. Has a Rod of Ages and almost has the Zhonya's as well. Going to be looking to get to 2 items fairly quickly.
Yeah, maybe the mega flex is Twisted Fate bot lane. If you know you're going to lose, you may as well just get the extra gold in.
No call or cut down though, so a little bit disappointed by that one, but you're quite right.
We could have gone full Nuggery Vladimir.
Oh, yeah, Klepto, the talisman, whatever that was, ancient coin, correct. Back in the days of Avarice Blade Ash, when Ash used to give last hit gold as well.
Ooh, we will see a hook onto Rek'Sai here, and I think he just pays for that Rift Herald with his life. I think they might end up being able to stop the Rift Herald before it charges as well, since it does have to make its way over the wall. Alistair looking to give the Rift Herald its charge here, will end up finding it onto the turret, and will be rended for the stacks. Now Alistair under the turret should go down here. and it's really a trade of Alistar for the turret damage. Actually, Alistar plus Rek'Sai even. Kalista looking for more though, is going to throw her Blitzcrank forward, and now Twisted Fate just standing still is going to be knocked up by a bunch of people, and Rapid Fire wants to make this fight happen. He's committed everything to it. He's going to have to flash away because of the gold card, and a snipe from downtown on Graxix will end up finding the support who is trailing a little bit behind his team, and they're going to be able to clean up a nice kill off the back of that one.
Graxix with the big yoinker right there, just throws the harpoon out, picks up a freebie on the backside of it, but you're quite right, Alpha actually coming out on top overall. They pick up 2 kills, defend their mid lane tier 2. Be interesting to see if they can get anything else out of this, because they really need to start taking some objectives down right now. Looks like they're going to try and whack away on this mid tier 1 rather, but they're not going to get it.
Taking the tier 1 there would actually be super helpful for them, just because of the way that the tier 1 opens up the map. I think that might be allowing Tactical Retreat to have a lot more of an avenue into making plays around the map, and the safety that mid lane tower is providing them would be really nice to get rid of, especially as it's cresting that 20-minute mark that we talked about as kind of a timer.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we would have liked to see Alpha here being on Soul Point with the early game that they drafted. Unfortunately, giving away the first Drake to Tactical Retreat wasn't really part of the game plan, but is the world that we live in. And Gamzee here just sitting in the tri-bush, not able to find Candyman, and a bit of a weird stack here on this bot side, but a kill is a kill if they can get it.
They're looking for it, and it doesn't look like they'd be sacrificing much on the top side. It doesn't look like anybody's looking for Baron picks just yet, and they might be rotating bot to try and cover him. I was actually curious. I was looking at the Wukong's item build, and I noticed he'd grabbed the Trinity Force for himself. Since Lee Sin has the Black Cleaver, I was wondering what you thought about the ideal sort of build for the top laner who's a little bit behind to enable his Kalista is, or is this him trying to take on more of a solo carry role?
Yeah, Trinity Force, I think I'll have to answer your question in a little bit here, because we're posturing around this mountain, Drake, and we'll have to wait and see whether or not these teams are able to take this fight either way. Currently just posturing.
Oh, yeah. It looks like Dragon is going to be aggroed here, but can't decide exactly where to go.
And neither team particularly committing, and this does favour Tactical Retreat here, because they've got priority over the mid lane. So Rapid Fire taking it upon himself to start stacking some spears. Flash in.
They do theoretically have the Rend, but will end up grabbing Michael as well. So now it's a 4v5, and with Rend plus Smite and a 4v5, this should be 100% going over to Omega. Will be picked up, and now they're only 1 away from Mountain Soul. Looks like they're pinging out Baron as well, maybe just trying to get some vision on it to make sure that they're not trading objectives.
Yeah, you know, there is definitely potential for them to do the Baron here. Rapid Fire is going to deal significant amounts of damage, and they might have caught Graxix here.
Ooh, Graxix doesn't actually end up getting kicked there and is dealing a lot of damage to Riddles, who could go down, ends up being pulled back and now has to flash away. Candyman Prim should be able to pick up the kill on him, is going to flash into him and be pulled over. Now Alistar in the middle of the fight is going to be able to tank up a lot, but Kalista shuts down the Urgot and is now just running down the Alistar. Twisted Fate is able to do nothing, and Michael walking out of base trying to get to his team isn't going to get there in time.
Yeah, and this is going to signify the startup of the Baron for Omega Gaming Alpha. There's definitely a potential for a steal here. Kiwi Slap has picked up the Summoner Spellbook and taken Smite. This is something that we need to keep track of, because he has flashed as well. He is trying to contest versus Kalista Lee Sin, and with Azir Shuffle as well. Have to wait and see. Here we go.
A little bit less than half health. They do have vision over the wall, and he is going to get hooked, so should just go down here. Does burn the Zhonya's, and it is in smite range. Does smite it, but gets it to about 100 health before it is going to be picked up by the Lee Sin. Really close.
Yeah, that was an awkward rend from Rapid Fire, actually. He rends at about 1600 HP, and since a couple of seasons ago, really, when Kallista's epic monster taking was significantly harmed, you can't really be smiting at those ranges unless you're in synchronization with a high-level jungler, and my heart sank for a little minute there as I thought that with that Ren coming through and Kiwi Slap just coming out of Zhonya's, as it was about 1400, there was a world where that got stole, but we are in the world where it didn't get stolen, and now Omega Gaming Alpha looking to take some economy back on the map, getting these outer turrets, these economy turrets really, get some gold back in their pockets and open up this gold gap again. Currently sat at 5k. We'll have to see if they can extend it to anything more by the end of the power play.
finally are going to take down the mid tier one as well, which is what you were talking about, is kind of opening up the map for themselves. Wukong does have the mini dash to get himself a little bit out of turret range before the Rek'Sai can fight him. Is going to take down the turret though, and now Rek'Sai has very little safety, and it's going to be who is more of a bruiser, as it looks like it's going to be Wukong picking up the kill potentially. Haven't seen it tick over yet, but in the meantime, they are just zoning all of TR off of the mid tier 2 now. I don't know how much longer is left on the Baron.
Got
Should be about
probably about a minute
half.
and a half left. I think they're about halfway through at the minute, and
Yeah.
Graxi was able, or Gamzee rather, was just able to flash and tunnel himself away from that kill up on the top side. So Candyman wasn't able to translate the kill yet, and
Now,
0-5-0 currently for Gamzee is not the scoreline that you want for your jungle.
yeah, especially on the rec side, not even having the assists to your name is kind of that enabling force. And pulling Grazix all the way up to the top side is the Wukong, which actually allows his team a lot of space, with Urgot being what I'll call the primary threat from the side of Tactical Retreat. I think that him being able to pull him up with the Baron buff might actually net them the mid tier 3. Ooh, flashing from Oxy will end up picking up the mid laner again, and again we see Twisted Fate instantly Zanyazing and sacrificing somebody else. Just doesn't have any good options here. We could get the fear from the Urgot, is going to be pulled in, but is going to be almost too little too late as he's forced to walk away. Cleanse from the Callista is chasing down the TF, and in the backside, we just have Wukong and Lee Sin taking down everyone else, as Callista, able to run straight at the Alistair now, is going to rent him for the last tick of damage. And everybody dead on the side of Tactical Retreat should mean another GG, and we should see a surrender now, as teleport channeled from the Karma, and the Nexus will explode.
Yeah, and talk about a Baron power play here, Diotropa. They decide that as soon as they get the Baron, they're just going to end the game instead of trying to get their gold. Who needs to establish a gold lead when you can establish a 2-0 series? Very well played from Omega Gaming Alpha to take this game now 2-0, and they maintain that unbeaten streak here.
Yeah, and once we get into the post-game lobby, I want to check out the Callista's damage graph again, because I feel like playing through bot side was really important for them, even if they didn't get that earlier lead and weren't able to uh, convincingly run through team fights. The Callista needing to be enabled a little bit more this game, I do feel like she was really key in this whole victory.
Yeah, the Callista, we talked about it early on that we wanted them to be enabling the Callista more than anybody else. And really,
Mm.
they were able to, get the advantage down. It looked like most of the kills were going over to the Blitzcrank, but at the end of the day, when 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 the kills came through and the damage needed to be done, Callista was there, Rapid Fire was there, ready to dish it out. Got himself the kills and managed to take down the second game, take the series in their favor as well.
Yeah, really well played by Omega Gaming. I really enjoyed seeing the way that they microed their way around that. Even hitting the 20-minute mark, I was starting to get a little bit worried, but they were able to pull the trigger exactly as I felt like they were going to start falling off and get that Baron for themselves, get the dragon. They almost even got to Soul there had they not given up one dragon earlier.
Yep, you're exactly right. And just before we wrap up today, we are going to look to see whether or not we can get an interview with one of the alpha players. Looks as though we might have somebody lined up. So just quickly before we go away, before we get that interview up, we are going to throw it to a short break, just so that we're all set and all ready, and give you guys some insight into how these guys want to play out, or how these guys wanted to play out that game. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. This will be a very worthwhile interview. Be right back, guys. And welcome back, everybody. After that short intermission, we are now finally joined by Riddles here. We've got Diatropa ready for the interview. Take it away.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us, Riddles. That was a very fun series to watch. There was a lot of action in the second game, specifically by your team. But I want to take us back to the first game just for a second, because the Yorick jungle was something that we felt like on the desk did a pretty good job of keeping you like as the Olaf down. But had you seen that matchup before? Is there something? Was that something that you expected to see from Tactical Retreat? And why do you think that they ended up going in that direction instead of putting the pressure top? I know that's a lot, so take it at your pace.
All right. So first off, um, I haven't seen the York Jungle in like 3 years, so it was definitely a shocker. Um, but I think the reason they decided to take York in the jungle is because they searched Olaf counters,
Uh-huh.
and the first result was in fact York. You can check it out yourself. Um, but like the first game, the draft was a little confusing, but it's understandable. They said they were just five dudes having fun, so
Yeah.
um, but overall, we were kind of worried because I'm gonna be honest, our week of scrims were very iffy.
Mm.
But I guess we're just a stage team. Perform when it matters.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, if it works, it works. Is what kind of stuff? Without revealing too much about your future drafts, I noticed that you guys played a lot through rapid fire in both games. Was that something that you had specifically decided to do going into these games? Was it a strat specifically against Tactical Retreat, or is that something that you try and put through a lot of your games?
if you know Alpha, you know that we're a playthrough bot team. Where rapid fire is nuts.
Mm.
He is always consistently putting up damage, as the damage chart shows. He's reliable, and our team is really built around enabling him as a carry, enabling him as an in-game leader. Um, so yeah, we're happy to always play around him because we know he performs.
Yeah, I noticed that confidence in playing around your bot lane, especially going into the second game. We were talking again a lot on the desk about how you guys put yourselves on a little bit of a timer, and I was wondering what was the decision for the what I'll call pre-20 comp, um, especially because you're part of the coaching staff for this team. Was that something that you felt really confident against this team, or was it a style that you've been practicing in scrims that you felt was specifically appropriate against the way they'd played in game one?
I will be honest, we were feeling really confident after the first game. So much so that we were making jokes about getting the game over before the 10 o'clock clash. But that's besides the point. We in general, we are a very focused team around playing early game, about winning lanes, about enabling our good players, which is everybody, by the way. But um, but just in general, our main strength as a team, I would say, just from the outside looking in, would definitely be playing around bot. Um, but I'm super confident that like every lane will, if they don't win, will lose gracefully, as you saw with our weak side Wukong.
That was nice.
But
um,
yeah,
Yeah, then I guess my last question to you would be, I mean, we've had people watching all night, and whether they were watching for your team specifically or for Omega in general, I'm curious from your team, what's something that we can look for from you that'll get us tuning into next game? What are some things you're maybe looking to try out, or players that you're looking to develop even further?
okay. How many games are in the season? I don't off the top of my head. But however many games are in the season, put that on the left, put a dash, and put a zero.
Mhm.
Um, we're not losing. Like I said, stage team, super confident, going undefeated. So if you like winning, definitely tune in to Alpha. And I feel like every game that you will watch will be very entertaining, to say the least. As you saw, we like to fight. We like to monkey out sometimes, but it's for the viewers. It's for the stream.
It is. You produce the content for all of us, and we thank you. That's all from me, so I'm going to throw it back to Rudude. Thank you so much for joining me for the interview.
Thank you for hosting the amazing stream.
And with that, guys, that's going to do it for us here. Wonderful little insight from Riddles. And you heard it here, guys. You want to see some wins, you want to see some entertaining games. join us on the Sunday evenings for this Focus Propel series. Omega Gaming Alpha going to go undefeated. Heard it here first. Coach, by the way, predicting the clean sweep for this league and into what I assume will be great playoffs run as well. With that all being said and done, though, we are going to be ending the broadcast here. I'd like to say thank you to Diatropa for joining me on the desk, and thank you to all of you guys at home for tuning in and watching the 2-0 from Alpha. All that being said and done, I've been Rudude running production and color casting tonight, and we will see you guys later. Peace.